Hello, I'm Dr. David Rizik, Chief Scientific Officer and Director of Cardiovascular Research at the HonorHealth Medical Centers, and I'm coming to you from the Shea Medical Center, where some really exciting clinical trials are being rolled out in 2025. You know, as we look back, some of the clinical trials are really groundbreaking in terms of the patients that we will be able to treat. Previously, patients that had no therapeutic options. Amongst them is the Esprit BTK trial. Our vascular specialists have done a terrific job at opening up new frontiers for patients with vascular disease, and Esprit BTK happens to be one of them. This is the first approved bioresorbable scaffold for the lower extremities for peripheral vascular disease, but especially for a below-the-knee application for patients who have very distal vascular disease involving the lower extremities. Now, when I say it is a fully bioresorbable scaffold, you may remember that we had a coronary technology several years ago that we used with great success, and now this is a stent, a scaffold, which actually disintegrates or melts after several years after implantation. And we think this is an exciting new area for the treatment of peripheral vascular disease in patients who have below-the-knee disease. Exciting area of clinical investigation and ongoing therapy for our patients with PAD or peripheral arterial disease. In the world of new and exciting clinical investigation and studies in electrophysiology, our EP doctors keep amazing us with some of the new, very exciting therapies. One is Peripheral, and that is a Boston Scientific PFA catheter, and this is designed for patients who have arrhythmias. This has been a hot topic over the past several years. Our electrophysiologists have done a great job rolling out new technologies, and the Peripheral PFA is the newest in a long line of exciting technologies from our EP colleagues. Our complex and advanced coronary intervention team are bringing us another new and exciting trial, the Picante trial. This is the Cardion mechanical circulatory support device. This is a 14 French device. There has been great emphasis on treating patients with complex coronary disease using a pump, a mechanical circulatory support pump. And this is going to be an exciting trial for patients with multi-vessel coronary artery disease and supporting them through complex coronary intervention and stenting with the Cardion device. Dr. Taro Patel is our lead investigator on that trial, and we're excited to have this trial in the growing number of trials along the lines of mechanical circulatory support. Look for more of these trials and research technologies in the coming year. You know, several years ago, our interest in transcatheter heart valve therapies really grew, and we developed a national reputation for several of these exciting trials. The most recent is the Journey IDE trial. Patients with aortic insufficiency, especially women over the age of 80, have very few therapy options. This is a group of elderly patients who really slip through the cracks of medical therapies and oftentimes never are offered a therapy. Journey IDE is a trial utilizing the new J valve from JC Medical, and this is a trial for patients with aortic regurgitation or aortic insufficiency. Oftentimes these patients never get treated. This trial has been a really spectacular, or has opened up spectacular options for these patients who previously were no option patients. We've done 7 of the first 25 patients, and we will be presenting this data at New York Valves in the coming weeks, but the trial continues to enroll now. Patients with aortic regurgitation or aortic insufficiency now have a therapy option, where previously there was no therapy option for these unfortunate patients. In our growing experience publishing high-end structural heart studies, the most recent publication is one that made it into JSCI, the Journal of the Society of Cardiovascular Angiography and Intervention, and that was our mandatory mechanical circulatory support and early M-tier study for patients with so-called structural shock. You know, historically, shock has a very high mortality, and there are very few therapies which can alter the adverse prognosis in patients with shock. Over the past 7.5 years, my co-authors and co-investigators joined me in triaging patients who presented with valvular heart disease and presented in cardiogenic shock, and we enrolled these patients into our prospective registry study. These patients underwent urgent, early, mandatory mechanical circulatory support, either with an Impella device or a balloon pump, and then were triaged to the cardiac catheterization laboratory for definitive transcatheter valve therapy. And what we found is, compared to the really dismal prognosis that these patients have, by 6 months, 73% of these patients remained alive. And this is a remarkable achievement in these very sick patients. This was published again in JSCI last month and was a late-breaking clinical science presentation for the Scottsdale Interventional Forum. We continue to try and blaze trails in shock patients and in patients requiring valve therapy, and this was another one of those milestone achievements for HonorHealth investigators. I want to thank you for viewing. Exciting time for clinical research at the HonorHealth Medical Centers in Scottsdale and Phoenix. We look forward to bringing you an update again in the coming months.